Hello everybody. For those who don't know me on, say, the Discord or something like that, I am currently at university. I've just moved up there. It's my first year and first term, and yeah, this stuff's vaguely hectic. So I may have not checked my YouTube account recently, and I may have seen quite a few comments when I got back, and I've recorded a couple of videos. I have done some stuff, but in general, like I haven't done much with regards to this channel. And so, basically today, I read through a load of comments, answered a load, and basically I'm now starting to see. Well, no, it's the same. It's not really a surprise. I'm seeing many of the same questions come up time and time again, and surprise, surprise, they're the same questions that tend to come up on the Discord. Don't tend to come up on the DLU forums, because if you're on the DLU forums, you already have access to all the information that's on the DLU website, which means this question doesn't really. Some of these questions anyway don't really get asked. But anyway, I decided today I'm going to go through and reply to every comment that I've received. No, not every comment. Every comment that I've received since during this summer, when I decided I'd start trying to put out information about LU out there. Yeah. So first things first. First off, shout out to Restless Riot. I say shout out to more just a haha. You said have some notes and stuff to talk from. You are my notes. Yeah. So there's one thing that I will probably have in the title of the video as being the main thing which this is talking about, which is pretty much this question. Looks cool. How can I download too? Which is, let's face it, the question that is most asked on the Discord, or on the Discords, plural, and sorry, on the Discord, plural, or on the Discords. Discords, plural, unless plurals to qualify for Discords. Anyway, yes, this question of you're posting all these videos with you playing the game. How can I play the game too? Yeah, initially when I was setting this up, I thought, you know what, let's go into detail on this, and at some point I didn't. I think I basically just started talking about the topics which interested me more, and I've got on my computer loads and loads of videos of stuff I've talked about, but which doesn't really... It interests me, but it's not something that's fun to talk about, and so there are loads of videos on my computer I haven't published, or rather loads of these voice recordings that I haven't actually. Speaking of which, I should check my audio is on. I'm pretty certain I'm gonna have to cut that out or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll just let you see the infinite looping of embedded Windows that is OBS when you open it whilst doing screen capture. Oh, also, because for those of you who don't know, I am a physicist. A physics student, but an obsessive one who calls himself a physicist prematurely and possibly arrogantly. I've decided to learn from the many, many great physics tutorials on the internet, which are just done by someone sitting in front of PowerPoint. I haven't got my mouse visible to you, but aside from that, it's pretty much the same as those videos. So, yeah. Enjoy a really low quality video. The upside is it means no editing for me because it's all done on this, which is an upside for me, probably a downside for you. Anyway, lots of people want to know the answer to this question, and I mean lots of people. So, like a really good human being, I'm not going to cover it straight away, and I'm going to answer some of the other questions, or just talk back to people, because as those of you who have actually seen and replied to my replies will know, I spend a lot of time typing out replies, and when all of these comments are effectively asking the same question, I thought it would be quite nice to just have, like, my answer down, stated somewhere. Okay, at some point my answer's going to go out of date because the server will have gone public, but until that time, like, it would be quite nice just to and just to have something to which I can direct people, because yeah, I've typed out like huge long paragraph responses to a lot of these questions, and eventually that just ends up being not very time efficient. Anyway, so I'm getting on to that, but first I figured let's go through some of the other comments. So this is where we were before the onslaught. This one from Monster Mash. I found your channel and wondered, for what project do you develop LCDR, DLU, or Open Crux? I only just realised that says Open Crux. That's funny. For starters, I love the fact that you've gone to the effort of not ending your sentence on a preposition with the for what. Love it. Very incongruous with the your and you. Fair enough. This really is not meant to be a grammar correction video, although I should just do that. That would be a lot of fun for me and no fun for anyone else, which sort of seems to be what this channel is about. That's possibly egocentric, but it's worryingly seems to be true. Anyway, looking at my motivations for why I'm running this channel aside, because I still haven't worked them out actually. In my comment reply to Restless Riot's comment, I'm like, I still don't know why I'm actually doing this. Hi, I found your channel and wondered, for what project do you develop LCDRU, DLU, or OpCrux? Yeah, no, the name substitutions there. So the answer to that is none of them. So I have done some development in my time. I worked on JLUS, and I've had my own sort of personal offshoot of JLUS that I've been spending some time working on my own computer, but I mostly, in terms of stuff I do, I mostly client mod and muck around with stuff on the client. I am definitely not a developer for any of the major servers. I have been known on like 2 occasions, I think, to provide information which is even vaguely useful to them. The fact that I know exactly which occasions says a lot. Like, this is not something I regularly am useful for. I helped LCDR find a bug, and I helped Vincent with, I can't remember what I helped Vincent with, but I helped Vincent with something. And yeah, in general, I'm not a developer. I know a lot about how the servers work because I've spent a lot of time in this, but I'm really not a developer first and foremost. As I said, I'm a physicist. If you're interested in knowing about how my development of a hologram is going along, by all means, ask me that. That is the amount of development that I am most informed about. I don't officially, unless LCDR, UDL, or OpCrux want sort of metamaterial-based optics, I'm not going to be a load of use to them most of the time. So yeah, that's the first answer to that, and I wanted to get that out of the way as soon as possible, mostly because it's been a problem in the community a couple of times in the past, people sort of being seen as developers, when in fact they were not developers at all. And so I'm like, I feel like that's unfair to the developers to have people think, oh, Ninja knows all this stuff about LCDRU, DLU, and he's a member of their staff team, so he must be a developer. And for starters, I'm a member of all their staff teams, and I'm not a developer for all of them, because there are no people who develop for all of them, because that wouldn't really be a very efficient way of developing. So yeah, basically, I'm not. Okay, I tried the setup from your link, etc., but if I try to log in, it says attempted login with username Wesley and password play. Login rejected. Any ideas? I put Wallace into a separate folder plus Lego into a folder and started the main.exe and then the Lego exe. The localhost thing was already applied. Okay, so in general, I would not, a YouTube comment section is not the place to ask for debugging advice. That's not in any way because I think you shouldn't be posting here, or I don't want you to, or I somehow think like it's against the ethos of YouTube or something. It just isn't the easiest. I won't see this. Like, I've replied to this comment, and fortunately it was, I mean, based on the description, I'm pretty certain I know exactly what's going wrong, but the majority of the time, debugging is a longer process, and you may want to have a back and forth with the developer. So, as a general rule, get onto the LUCH, get onto one of the Discords and ask. it's a far more efficient way of doing things than this. In this particular instance, it's a simple bug, and I figure I might as well vaguely explain the debugging process, or even if, yeah, okay. So I tried to set up from your link. This link, by the way, was lusprojects.github.io. I will mention that. I'm about 90% certain that's the link. We'll get on to correcting me in videos later on, and why you really should do it. But I'm pretty certain that's the link. I've already replied to in like 2 or 3 comments today, I think. So yeah, that's the link to which he's referring. If I try to log on, it says attempted login with username Wesley and password play, and login rejected. So actually, just looking at that now, I thought it was referring to the error message coming from LU. Doesn't look like that actually, because LU wouldn't say attempted login with the username and password. It definitely would not print the password to the console. I thought he was saying he was attempting that. My sort of diagnosis doesn't really change too much, because this tells you that the client and the server are connected. It was quite honestly, for me, as someone working with these servers, and when I set up a Hamachi server for myself, Kitty and Valin, all blue, ages ago to play on, I think it was Ion Universe, because yeah, that was a thing. One of the greatest hurdles I found back then was just trying to get the server to connect to the clients. In this particular instance, we know it's connected because we've gotten that message. Login rejected. So basically that means, for whatever reason, the server's been like, yeah, okay, we don't want Wesley in password play. Main reason I can see for that is that Wesley isn't the username, it's Wesley. It's spelled with an E rather than an A. I think that's the only thing. So in general, there are simple things I may be able to debug over this, but in general, just come and talk to someone on the OCH, because you're far more likely to find someone. I know Wesley, okay, he's not really active. The person who wrote Wallace, he's still on the LUCH. I think he's actually started writing a new server thing recently. Don't remember for sure if he was actually going to go through with it in the end. But yeah, there are people who will possibly better understand the network dynamics going on than myself. And even if I happen to know what it is, it's still easier to have a conversation with you there. Monster Mash, again, after an intro for you, nice, colon, close brackets. Yes, I know that's meant to be a smiley face before someone comments and tells me. Can you tell me as an insider when the close beta will start? I really want to get to this, because nope, I have no idea. I quite honestly don't even think DLU have any ideas at the moment. And yeah, can I tell you as an insider when the closed beta will start? I moderate for lots of the projects, and I moderate for all of the closed source projects, so OpCrux, LCDRU, DLU. And as an insider, what's my information? My information is none whatsoever, because quite honestly, all of these servers are being written and developed by, generally speaking, a couple of people. It's Uchu has 2 people working on it. OpCrux has, I think, 1 active dev. DLU has anywhere between 1 and 3, depending on who you ask and how much people are working on it. Maybe even more sometimes. DLU varies a lot, because they've got a lot of developers who are mostly inactive. And who sometimes come back to help, and LCDRU has 1 developer. The thing about it is, these projects are very development central and development driven. I will know a little while in advance of the general user base when a test is coming, but like we're talking quite often days. Like I will have discussed it with LCDR, maybe. I'll discuss like when we should think about having the next testing phase, like what development landmark it should come at with LCDR, but that does not correspond to me knowing when he's going to complete it. I mean, he doesn't know when he's going to complete it. And so in general I may know a day or two in advance, in which case, okay, I'm not going to tell you, but also it's a day or two in advance, you will find out soon enough. Like, I will always do my best not to withhold information, but the point of this channel isn't really for me to spill information that I've learnt as a mod, as I'm sure Monster Mash knew. Like, it's for me to basically spread information which is already out there, because the answers to most questions you can think about are already out there somewhere, and a developer will have, say, for instance, mentioned it in passing in the development channel, which is public enough that I would feel relatively happy releasing it. Looking for more info on this. This was in reply to my FDB editing video. Yeah, so with this, for those of you who haven't watched the video, quick summary is the FDB is a something database format. Nobody knows what it actually stands for. It is the internal, it's the file extension used for a file called cdclient.fdb, and that contains basically a whole load of the information the game needs to run. When you load the game, it goes through, like, parses a load of the FDB, so parts are basically just reading through it, just reads through a load of the FDB, extracts a lot of the useful information, and sort of calls on as it goes in runtime. I don't know precisely how it works in runtime. I just know that if you muck something up even slightly in the files, it will stop your client running, which means it evidently checks the FDB right when you load your client up at the beginning. But how it checks it, or if just changing something right at the end just mucks up the search algorithm it uses, I don't know. So looking for more information on this, I happen to know quite a lot about FDB editing, not loads by any standard, but like I'm familiar with the documentation and the methods behind it, because I've done it manually quite a few times. There's a video on this channel called Shiny Shield, which is something that initially came from it did come from FDB editing entirely. Well, not entirely. Came from some file editing, which is simple, and changing some of the going into the binary files for the FDB editor and just changing a couple of fields, mucking around with stuff. And yeah, I had a more complicated edited version, but I've had to delete it because it turns out having like 5 LCDRU unpacked clients with slight mods to them on a computer that's 7 years old took up a lot of disk space. So yeah, more info on this. I don't know if I'm going to do a video on that, because quite honestly, it's something that's very interesting to talk about, and I've got a lot of information. It's also a lot of effort to get all of those images together and edit them together. Maybe I'd do some sort of PowerPoint type video like this, and that might be plausible. Okay, this one is something I'd like to just promote in general. I'm on the Discord. I'm Nico of the Night. Yeah, it's quite nice. I quite enjoy it when I get a message from someone saying, "Hey, yeah, not even I saw your video, just hi." It's quite nice just to have someone randomly say hi to you. So let me know. I do remember the names of the people who send me these messages, and yeah, to the extent, yeah, I used to have every user on the DLU forums who'd ever posted in general memorized. So yeah, I know I will be happy to see you around, etc. I will bash my head if I can play a stable LEGO Universe server. I'm not saying that's how to play it. I was just saying I would be happy at a working LEGO Universe server. Yeah, wouldn't we all be happy with a working LEGO Universe server? Yeah, it's quite nice to just see people are excited about it, because in general, it's the community being really excited about it that I really want to do a video on sort of the psychology of a developer, because it's actually, well, not even the psychology of a developer, because let's face it, I don't know that, but trying to put yourself in the developer's shoes, because a lot of the time people just expect stuff from the developers, and quite honestly, I've been in this community for years. I only started properly putting myself in their shoes recently, and yeah, it's a very different outlook. But yeah, I will bash my head if I can play a stable Lego Universe server. God, everyone is with you on that. I was the biggest fan when I played Lego Universe years ago. I pulled up the basic Willis thing, tried it out, and it brought back some great memories. In addition, I joined all the project discords, and I'm going to sign up for the closed beta for Dark Flame and LCDIU whenever those come out. Love the work you're doing, and I can't wait to see where it goes. As you mentioned before, I'm not doing any work, but we'll take that as love the work they're doing. And so, yeah, the same thing for the previous comment. Hype is okay. There are some times where it's less than useful, but in general, like, hype is what has kept this community alive for so long. Well, not necessarily hype, but just people who are excited, people who were the biggest fan years ago. And like, I sounded like I was saying that sarcastically. I really mean it. Like, I'm sure there are lots of people who are the biggest fan, but it means a lot to just know, for the developers to just know that there are people out there who really care about it. It gives them a reason to keep working on it. Without people who cared about it, this project would have died a long time ago. Found out about this yesterday, and it all came back as soon as I found your channel. I remember getting the Doom Slicer and the Spike Hammer. Dude, can't wait for this. I'm just going to say I'm with you. I'm not with you. Never had the Doom Slicer, never had the Spike. Actually, I may have gone the Doom Slicer on my second character. I don't think I ever had the Spike Hammer. Can't wait for this. I am with you, nor can I. Please keep raising awareness. Lego Universe still has a hope, or small, of being rebuilt, one brick at a time. Now, I can try and do this on my amazingly popular YouTube channel with a grand total of, 53 subscribers. And yeah, it is sad that I know exactly how many I have. My point being, I'm not the best person to do this. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not even a developer. I'm a physicist. I know I keep saying that, but it's I sort of want to put this into perspective. This is I care about. I don't even care that much about. This sounds really awful, but I don't even care that much about you anymore. I care about the community. Like, I would be amazingly happy if Lego Universe came back, but the hope of Lego Universe coming back is not what is keeping me in the community. What's keeping me in the community at the moment are the people in the community. And so, in general, I'm possibly not the best person. I don't make amazingly edited videos. I don't know how to run a YouTube channel. If I did know how to run a YouTube channel, I wouldn't have the time. So, what I'd say to you, the Crimson King, is it means a lot to me that you want me to keep going, and I will endeavour to do so when I find time and I find topics that are fun to talk about and can edit the videos. But I'm throwing this back at you as well, and not just you, the Crimson King, but everyone else here, which is that you can do just as much as I can in terms of raising awareness, and I hope you do. If you go and tell 2 people and tell them to tell 2 people, then that would be a totally unrealistic scenario. But it would be amazing if it were. If it were to happen, spread it around. Because let's face it, most people on the internet don't see this video. This is from Master Temple. This kid is the reason why you should have someone owe you 250,000 coins when the game starts. Yep. This is FFFFF player 1. I'm really worried it's not player 1 now. That just really concerns me, because I just think of him as FFFFFF player. I just think there's a number at the end, but I genuinely can't remember it now. Anyway, this is from Figroth Felanor. For those of you who don't know him, he is a member of Kotos, which that will be annoyed at me for mispronouncing, and was big on the LMBs back when they still existed, and Lego hadn't shut down yet another online project. Oh yeah, and he ate the gauntlet. I pointed out that this is the second time he's eaten a gauntlet I've thrown down in a month. He replied that he only stole the other one and didn't eat it, which is true, other than the fact that I saw him with some very suspicious looking gauntlet crumbs on his face, and I haven't seen the gauntlet since. Another one from SS Riot. I'm here to help. YouTube is a great platform to get attention for you after all, and the more / better content we have about it, the better. That's another thing I'm going to throw right back at you. The important point is I'm sure I can do more. Like, I can keep producing more videos, and I'm sure like eventually the more videos that are out there, the higher the likelihood is that someone will find them. But you also said better, and I am not here for better content. I am not particularly good at that. It's not my skill set in any way. So yeah, I'm throwing that back at you, Restless, and back at the rest of the community as a whole. Useful video, Ninja. Thank you for the insight. Again, it's nice to see people around. I've seen Rowan around loads now in the LCDIU Discord, and I know to look out for him because he said that. Sounds good. This was a reference to my speedrunning challenge, and discussing the speedrunning challenge. There is, I don't know if I have published this, so I might as well mention it now. User by the name of Prevateer managed to get the monuments time, according to the rules I laid out, down to 27.27 seconds, based on a frame-by-frame watching of his video. And I think it was down to about 26.24, I want to say. That could be me misremembering, if he hadn't have accidentally hit spacebar one last time right at the end, which slowed his landing down. I was amazed at very few people took up the challenge, which was so disappointing. I know of like 2, maybe 3 people who actually took part to any great extent, but it was brilliant to see just a surprising number of people like chipping into discussions about it, and even if they weren't playing and trying to reduce their time, sort of still helping out. So yeah, it's nice to know, specifically with this thing that was community related, it's nice to hear when people in the community think it's a good idea and sound like they might be interested in trying it out. Turns out you need none of the monuments tech to make it all the way to the top. I wouldn't exactly call this the top, though. Yeah. So this is onto the section of calling me out, and credit to player, because I teased him about eating my gauntlets. Yeah, you shouldn't have. But yeah, do call me out, because I don't really want to become one of those people who's just like, hey, hyperbole for the sake of hyperbole, and hyperboton for hyperboton's sake. Points to anyone else who took GCSE Latin and who gets that reference. Yeah, that was a dark time. To make it all the way top, I wouldn't exactly call it top, yo. Yeah, I exaggerated and called me out on it. I think I meant to the top of the leaderboard or to the top of the road, but I was exaggerating. Call me out on it. And speaking of calling me out, Funky Yugaman came to me with a correction on Discord, and I asked him to post it here as well. YouTube account, as you can see, named Mr. Ree. The permanent character speed boost unlocks at level 20. Yeah, I'd said it was incorrect. I think I said level 15 or maybe level 25, something. I can't remember what I said. In general, if I mock something up, correct me, because a lot of this is unscripted. Maybe I have notes. I'm not someone who puts in... Basically, it sounds really awful. I don't put in a huge amount of time into making these videos. I do not write a script for it, is basically what I'm saying. This is a good way to keep the community active. So, full credit to Mad Wolf, as I'm sure the next thing will say. Yeah, Mad Wolf was like, hey, this sounds fun, let's try and get the community active. And has posted a couple of videos looking at times, looking at sort of routes to do the monument speedrun, and looking at the times each of those routes take and doing some analysis on those. Later turned out that the routes Prevateer took could actually pretty much get you all of the same distance in the amount of time that Mad Wolf got you halfway through the monument. But that's not to say that what Mad Wolf did wasn't worthwhile. And like it's specifically with some of the other challenges that are going to start coming up, it may become actually more and more relevant. It happens to be that there was a shorter way to get to this particular section, which lets you run up the side of the mountain, but that may not have happened. And it's like to say that Mad Wolf's contributions were like not worth it would be the equivalent of pretty much saying that, I don't know, any speed run but the fastest one wasn't worth it, or any attempt at the 100 meters before Usain Bolt wasn't worth it. Oh, You're welcome, Mad Wolf. How do you get your game to have cutscenes, collectible / smashable stuff, NPCs, whereas mine was just a plain walking sim? I said I'd get onto this. Here we are. Or rather, I'm going to put off discussing some of the exact things until the end and sort of discuss the specifics each question is going on to. So how do you get your game to have cutscenes and stuff, whereas mine was just a plain walking sim? The thing I'm going to pick out from this is the plain walking sim. For those of you who don't know, walking sim became vaguely controversial, like for a minute or so, as a term. Walking sim, it tends to refer to uni or Woolus. That's me on Woolus. It doesn't tend to refer to... Well, no, it can be used to. So basically, as the community has progressed, we sort of go through phases of lots of people playing on servers, and then everyone gets bored. And it's a cycle that we've seen repeat loads of times now. And the main reason is because something with a lack of functionality, it can be brilliant for sort of starting your nostalgia and sort of kickstarting it. Ooh, I don't know if you could hear that on the video, but someone decided they really wanted to honk their horn outside. Yeah, so there have been these booms and busts in terms of popularity of particular servers, and in general the open source servers, or back in the day when there actually were a couple of public servers. And so the term that's sort of come to encapsulate all these things, which will give you nostalgia but which won't hold players, is a walking simulator. And that's a lot of the reason why I refer to this community, despite the fact that we have loads of ways to play the game as a waiting community rather than a gaming community, is the fact that most of those methods of playing the game are incomplete. And lots of new players have seen the old guard saying, oh, that's just a walking sim, don't bother playing it, as sort of the people who are inevitably in the DLU testing squad, as it were, just not realising how lucky they were and just trying to shut down anything else. It isn't. It's based off of the number of booms and busts we have, and the fact that every time another uni disappoints another player, you then have someone who's just like, oh, well, that's 10 years later, and that's all we have. So the walking sim bit's the thing I am putting out there. I really want to play like a universe. I really want to play and feel the nostalgia, but I can't find anywhere to install it. Sad face. Can you help me out, please? I want to play so bad, and I can't find any way. Well, Sean Scott, bear with me. Two things at once. And what is Jailus? Is it a public server or some executable you can run to host your own server like Uni? Jailus, so I think it's still on my banner, because technically I do still develop for it, but like, I know I haven't updated that banner in ages. Jailus was, so there's a difference in the things here between a public server and some executable you can run to host your own server like Uni. All those executables you can run to host your own servers, they tend to be public. Well, they tend not to be executables, but for almost any public server, any server that is currently public, the source tends to also be public. Servers that are closed tend to also be closed source for the most part. Well, for the complete part at the moment. Maybe that will change, but I doubt it, just because that's sort of how the community has become structured. So Jailus was, in that example, it was an executable you can run to host your own server like Uni. It was at points public. There were times where you could come and join and play, but like that wasn't much. Yeah, that's Jailus. Oh no, I'm getting further and further behind. Shotgun Ninja DF. Are there any clients with actual AI? Also, I need a playable client. Yeah, this was in a reply to my video about the client-server divide, which implies you didn't listen to any of that video. Because the entire video, the point of it was that stuff which you wouldn't want anyone hacking is always kept on the server. And it would definitely be a big problem if someone hacked AI. And I need a playable client. Most of the server is in the server, which means, yeah, you need more than just a playable client. There are loads of playable clients, you need a playable server. So that one was slightly concerning, although I know I do have rubbish retention. Shotgun Ninja DF again. I still haven't found a helpful way to play the game now. Yeah, we're coming on to that. There are quite a few ways to play the game, and I know I put this one here actually in terms of the order. So I will again reference lusprojects.github.io, which you may or may not have come across when looking for these things. It's where you'll always get recommended to go if you ask in the LUCH, if you ask in LCDRU, if you ask in Opcrux Discord, if you ask in the DLU Discord. Most people there seem to know, because I know it's a relatively active community, and it's vaguely self-contained, so people tend to know that already. Don't know why. It's interesting. Maybe it's just because they're testers, and testers are people who have stayed for at least a little while longer or have had an incentive to do so. The question doesn't get asked there. But yes, so lusprojects.github.io, it's where most of the information will be contained. Any server you want to play currently will require setup. I will put out a video if this changes, but it doesn't look like it's going to change hugely soon. I know people have been occasionally sort of discussed, oh, maybe I'll just set one up, because they think the community needs one. In fairness, I personally think it would help the community if someone sets one up. I'm not in a position to do so myself at the moment, but I do think that would help. But I haven't found a helpful way to play the game right now. They're out there, but if you want to just download a client, put an IP into the client and play, those don't exist. You will be able to find ways to play the game, but it won't be completely playing the game. That was the other point I wanted to make. It's the difference between a walking sim and fully playing the game and being able to enjoy it and potentially keep playing it. And you won't be able to keep playing the game for more than maybe a day before the nostalgia wears off, with anything that's out there at the moment. So it'll be better to wait. In general, that's why people reference a walking sim, because it's probably better to wait rather than just getting a nostalgia fix and then leaving the LU community forever. Looks cool. How can I download too? I started with you. Yeah, I'll mention something now. Again, LUS projects. All the download links pretty much are there. Uni, I don't know if it's properly downloadable anymore. I was going to look into making an edited version of Uni for the speedrunning, challenge up the monument. Thing was, Privateer pretty much completely optimised that. Like, there is less than about 1.5 seconds we think it's physically possible to cut its time down by, even if you had a sort of completely perfect run. So yeah, there's no Uni download link, and for as much as I'm going to mention it, there's probably a good reason there's not one. Yeah, so you'll only be able to download stuff that's on the LUS projects.github.io pretty much, because that contains, I think, all the projects there are at the moment. Yeah. So how long until we have private servers come up? So I'm assuming by this you mean the private servers like DLU and LCDRU and Opcrux that we currently have, but how long before they go public? Yeah, I mentioned this at the beginning, but nobody really knows. Like, the developers don't know. So my current knowledge is that Simon has mentioned in passing having a pre-alpha test, which it would sorely this particular test is definitely just for the sake of letting people know Opcrux still exists, and that it's a thing. I don't know if it's ever actually going to happen. I wouldn't hold your breath for that one in particular. DLU, they've got their closed beta coming soon, TM. They've definitely got the entrances for that closed beta coming soon, and I would like to just call out the fact that at one point in a previous video I did predict that they would they would sort of backtrack. I shouldn't be saying this because that won't work for them, but they would sort of backtrack on saying we'd have beta before the end of the year to we will let you into beta before the end of the year, which technically does still count as having beta. I just think initially that perhaps wasn't what they planned, although I wasn't part of the team back then, so maybe they did all along. So that's the case for DLU. For LCDRU, there's nothing planned at the moment. LCDRU is working on sort of back-end stuff, because right when you start a programming project, it's really hard to know how everything's going to fit together, especially something like LU, where most of it you're researching and finding out stuff as you go along. So he's rewriting huge chunks of the server so that the way the code is written makes sense for what he now knows the server needs to do to interact with the client. So LCDRU there, there'll probably be something after he does a database rewrite, but that could be quite a while. Then there's the other question of how long will it be until we actually get the private servers going properly public? Not just until we get a new testing phase or a new chance to get in, but until we've got something like an open beta or a full opening. And how long until that? Now, my piece of advice I've given to everyone so far is that you should take your estimate for how long you think it's going to be into a particular event and then double the amount of time. Because I've looked back basically at previous predictions I've made, and it's always been double the amount of time, even when I've thought I've been making like a longer term prediction. So yeah, I'd make a reasonable prediction and double it. It could be, until we get a full game, it could be anywhere from like 3 to 6 years possibly. It could be less than that. My instinct tells me it won't be. Like, I don't mean to put people off. There'll be lots of opportunities to get into testing, and as I've mentioned with DLU as well, they need to increase the number of testers, and I've started to hear stuff from from DLU sort of implying that they will be increasing the number of testers, possibly significantly, although not as significantly as I sort of argued they perhaps should in one of my previous videos for closed beta. So this isn't to say that you shouldn't stick around, because there are lots of opportunities you will get to play, but I doubt we will be at a release until at least 3 years. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I will be happy to be proven wrong. Mostly because then Master Temple will pay me the 250,000 coins. Oh, I just hit the next thing, but I can't see what that brought up. Here we are. How can I get LEGO Universe in 2019? The nostalgia is hitting hard, man. I hope I vaguely have described how to do that by now, actually. Why can't the servers be public? Is it just too much stress on the server? Okay, again, I recently, basically, sort of based on my own experiences as from working on like really difficult, really sort of long shot of it actually working physics projects. Like, when I say long shot of it working, I mean I've been working on holography for 7 years now, sort of on and off. At various different levels, as one might imagine from the fact that it's been 7 years. I didn't know as much when I started as I do now. Why can't the servers be public? Because there's just too much stress on the server. So, as based off my own experiences, I answered a question like nearly identical to this, I think, in the LCDRU Discord. And so the answer to why can't the servers be public? Is partially it is stress on the server. That's definitely the most cited reason. But there are multitudes of other reasons, one of which I'd say quite important. I want to dedicate a bit of a video to this, definitely. When I say a bit of a video, I mean a video to this, is just for the sake of the developers. Imagine you put yourself in the position where you've worked on something for, what, maybe, it's got to be like 8 years now. You've worked on this for 8 years. You get a load of new players in, all of whom are like really excited and hyped, and you know what happens? You let them in, within a day or so, they're inactive. And it's like, wow, I've spent all that time, and it's not good enough to hold people, keep them interested. And you know what? It's true. It isn't good enough to hold people interested, but that does need to get put in the context of it took NetDevil and the LEGO group how long to release this to begin with. Like, they repeatedly had to push back deadlines, so like it's amazing that we have like as few people as we do working on this at all. So is it just too much stress on the server? It's a lot of stress on the server, it's a lot of stress on the developers, it's a lot of commitment. Every time you put out a new testing phase, you're getting more people more invested into it, which means the stakes are high for you. It's a huge gamble that something won't come up in your personal life that you need to attend to above programming. And sort of the more you get other people invested, the more you feel you have to work on it. and the more it becomes less something you do because you want to do, but it becomes something you do because you have to do. Otherwise, everyone will be let down, and otherwise all those years you've put in will be wasted and sort of at this stage a trap of I have to finish it now, there isn't really another option. So I hope that vaguely answers why servers can't be public, and I want to do, as I've said at least 3 times now, another video on this. This is coming to a very long video, I'm sorry. Trader William. Alright, I've been interested in LEGO Universe reopening projects ever since the game shut down in 2012. How can I play it now, and which project is going the fastest? This was going to be a comment about saying credit to you for fully doing your research, and in fairness, I still think I have. I just missed out the how can I play it now, which isn't necessarily a sign someone hasn't done their research, but it just, I answered that multiple times. So instead I'm going to answer which project is going the fastest. In terms of which project was going the fastest, at the time this was sent, it might have actually been Op Crux, just because Simon had like a month where he just sprinted through like coding a huge amount of the server. It was like, it wasn't a month, it was like 8 weeks, and he just shot through the number of features his server had, because it's something he's had experience doing before, because he was rewriting it from the very bottom, and just shot up. How can I play now, and which product is going the fastest? So we've discussed how you can play now. All the stuff to do with play now is on lusprojects.github.io. I should say I am in no way associated with that site. Well, a few things I'm not associated with, mostly because it doesn't need a moderator, it needs people with actual technical know-how, or more technical know-how than I myself possess. Yeah, I've been how can I play it now? So your bets at the moment are pretty much, there is actually less choice now, I'd say, than there was in the past for the number of servers you can play it on, mostly because a lot of the servers are just now old, and sort of compared to the new servers that are available, there's no reason you would choose one of the older servers. So there is Luni, if you can find it. Don't. Woolus, if you've got the right version of Python installed on your computer, comes on in an executable form, so it's typically seen as being one of the easier, well, the easiest one set up at the moment, sort of like the successor to Luni, except without all the bad back history, etc, etc, etc. Then there's Uchu, which is a project, I love it because it's an open source project, but it's gone by far the furthest of all the open source projects at the moment. And yeah, they've done very well. It's run by 2 people, Yui and Vincent. I think Vincent is contributing most to it at the moment based on stuff said in development. I think he's more active, but I don't know about that, and I haven't checked the commits, so I can't accurately assess that, and I don't want to demean in any way the work Yui has put in, because I realise now that sounds like that. So I love you, Yui. This was based off of one conversation. I'm sorry if I've gone completely the wrong end of the stick. Yeah, so, yeah, how can I play right now? Uchu is pretty well developed, like, not in terms of, like, necessarily the code, because I'm not brilliant at the C languages, and I believe this is in either C++ or C#, but just as in terms of the number of features, this was unthinkable a little while back. That an open source project, when like for a while there was so, like, I don't even think JLus was properly open source, for an open source project to have this much implemented in it, like the fact that I believe they've got moving platforms, they've got smashables, they've got to some extent some degree of collectibles, they've got, it's now seems somehow, it's amazing that at the moment it's now seen as almost standard to have like smashables and item equipping, when back when I first joined, like, very few people had that. Yeah, huge shout out to Uchu. And then of course the ways to play the game are the other sort of standard ones. Sign up to for a DLU account, sign up for an LCDRU account and stuff. Keep checking their websites so you know when an alpha is coming out. Join the Discords. That's probably your best bet if you're thinking about it, because as a general rule, @everyone pings are extremely rare. They'll only happen when something big happens, like new openings for people. Yes, how can I play it now? And which project is going the fastest? I think we've been answering this question for years, and I'm sure it feels like much longer to you. Which project is going the fastest? It's really hard to tell. In terms of which is the furthest, it's generally speaking a toss-up between LCDIU and DLU, and both are going through the rewriting process right now. So DLU basically just has a thing at the moment which says, yeah, you know all that stuff we put up in the changelog, yet none of that is no longer true anymore because we've basically had to rewrite the entire thing. LCDIU's rewriting the database, and Opcrux is basically picking up from the ashes of LUR. Of course, the Uchu is the only one that hasn't done a major rewrite recently. When this server becomes public, twice as long as you think it will take. Is there a way to play? Yes, lusprojects.github.io. How did you get it on your PC? I really want to play. I'm going to assume that was a really thoughtful comment about how did I get the client on my PC. Again, lusprojects.github.io. Is this DLU server? This is actually a vaguely important point. I put this in the sort of I want to play section, but it's a very good question. Is this DLU server? The videos I've put up are basically just I've recorded loads of stuff that I never bothered to publish because I don't know, either I'm not talking in it or someone else comes in and says my actual name and I don't want that to go onto the internet, so I have to get rid of that video. Or like happened with a video I did, a recording I did recently, someone comes in to talk to me about the Assassin's Guild. Yeah, university's a weird place. Yeah, so is this the DLU server? The clips I post are more likely to be from the LCDIU server than DLU. They will be from a combination of both of them, and they're just random clips I find on my computer and edit them together into one video. So, Vezri, I dedicate this video to you. How are you playing? I hope you've gotten your answer. I would press next, but it's going to go to the slideshow completed. Press any key to continue. Yes, this has been a very long video, and a huge amount of credit to any of you who have managed to make your way through this entire thing. Yeah, good work, because this has literally just been a single FAQ video that's probably gone on for about I've just looked at my watch, it's gone on way too long. Yeah, I hope this answers some of your questions, and I'm just really glad to know that I think none of these were underneath the video I posted which said, please could you submit your questions in the comment section beneath this video. Thank you very much for listening. This has been NinjaValue, and remember that's just a theory. I can't say that. I really want to say that, but I shouldn't. I'll remember to put all the stuff for the developer channels in the subscription. Remember, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to all of their channels, because they are the ones who make this possible, not me. Thank you very much for listening. This is NinjaValue, and I'll see you hopefully on the Discord, hopefully on the DLU forums, hopefully getting into the next testing phase. I wish you all the best of luck. See you around.